Jack, thank you very much. As you may remember, sir, we sometimes had difference of opinion, but it worked. You were the boss, that's right, and it worked out okay. Don, it's always good seeing you, and thank you for letting me come to your facility. And frankly, as I look around, I didn't realize that I would know so many people from past experiences. Let me start by giving a brief comment about my background to set the stage, so to speak. My father was a janitor. My mother was a domestic worker. They had 3rd and 10th grade education, respectively. My wife's parents had similar backgrounds. But the two of us, sort of working together with a lot of help from a lot of friends, reached the height in our world of academics, politics, military, and society. This autobiography was initially designed for our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren with the simple message that you can do whatever you want to do. And for the records, we have 11 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. And just point of pride that I always throw in, our oldest great-grandson, 19, 6 foot 8 inches tall. He does play basketball. I started to work on this book back in 1992 in collaboration with Joe Galloway. And I'm sure most of you have heard it, don't other than know him personally. But he got busy selling his own book and then making a movie that he had to drop out of working as we had planned, and he just became an advisor to me and was very helpful in helping me to negotiate some of the pitfalls that come from writers. I should point out early on that I am a slow learner. I just finished this book about 2 years ago, which meant that from 1992 to 2007, of course, along the way I had several unique challenges, some more unique than others. And I think Don knows what I'm talking about in some respects. This book is about my almost 40 years as a soldier, plus 4 follow-on jobs post-Army. I entered a segregated Army in 1943, December, when I joined the Army Air Corps Enlisted Reserves, still a senior at Lower Merion High School, suburban Philadelphia. My joining was the result of a former graduate coming back and talking to an assembly of students about joining the Army Air Corps and winning your Silver Wing and Gold Bars. That speaker was General Hap Arnold, who graduated from Lower Merion in 1903. Quite a few of the seniors, particularly the football players, took the battery of tests, and 6 of us were sworn into the Army Air Corps Enlisted Reserves on the 28th day of December, 1943. We entered on active duty the following July, following high school graduation, but none of us ever graduated from flight school. Before leaving the subject of Lower Merion, let me do a little name dropping by mentioning some of the other graduates of Lower Merion, in addition to General Arnold. Jim Billington, Librarian of Congress. Al Haig, former Secretary of State, and a few other things. Larry Summers, Harvard and now National Economic Advisor. Vice Admiral Jim Zimble, former President of Uniformed Services, University of Health Sciences. Jim Vance, the anchor on Channel 4, NBC. And for the most recent graduate, to the pride of some people, Kobe Bryant, plays for the Los Angeles Lakers, a graduate. and I could name 5 or 6 others residents of where we live, the Fairfax. At least once a month or so, somebody comes up, I went to Lower Merion too. And I found out that the Catholic priest who's been working there longer than we've been there graduated in 1950. So just a few name droppings, it helps to set the stage. Okay, all 6 of us went off to pre-flight school after graduation. 5 went to Florida, and I was sent to Keesler Field, Biloxi, Mississippi, a great place for a young 18-year-old black from mainline to Philadelphia to go to in 1944. After failing the eye examination, some 4 months later, I was admitted into Officer Candidate School at Fort Benning, Georgia. I was 18 years old when I started the course, did well, and was commissioned in 45, August of 45, Second Lieutenant of Infantry, and sent to join the 93rd Division. At that time, I was 19 years old. I joined the 369th Infantry Regiment on Morotai, just north of New Guinea, after the end of World War II. Now, some of you old-timers, and I use that term very politely, can appreciate the anomaly that the 93rd Division and the 31st Division, nicknamed Dixie Division, were assigned to the same islands throughout the war. I have yet to find anyone who can tell me why that happened that way. I was separated from active duty a year later, in November of 1946, but stayed in the reserves. I entered Muhlenberg College in February of 47. Muhlenberg's in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I entered as a second semester sophomore pre-med major and his first black student. I lost my football scholarship by which I got into Muhlenberg a couple months later due to an injury. In July of 1948, some 18 months after I arrived to Muhlenberg, I was at Aberdeen Proving Ground as an Army reservist for active duty for training, earning some money between semesters because money was not that plentiful. And I was there when President Truman issued his Executive Order 9981 on the 26th of July, officially declaring equality of treatment and opportunity for all personnel, theoretically ending segregation in the military forces. By the way, there's a copy of that executive order in this book. The Aberdeen Proving Ground commander held a post-wide officers' call, read the order to the entire assemblage, and then said this: as long as he was the commander, there would be no change. Officer Club number 1, Officer Club number 2. NCO Club number 1, NCO Club number 2. Swimming pool number 1, swimming pool number 2. Now, I'm assuming that you do know the difference. As I said, at the time, the summer of 48, I was a pre-med student, and while I was doing okay as a student, I wasn't all that keen about becoming a medical doctor, which was my father's biggest hope, because as far as he was concerned, the only thing that there's nothing higher for a black person was than to become a medical doctor. I had enjoyed the Army as an officer during World War II, albeit in all black units. So after the executive order, I volunteered to be recalled to active duty. Now, the decision for that volunteering was prompted in part by the fact that I married my high school sweetheart in January of 1948. We bought a house in Philadelphia in June of 1948, and we were expecting our first child in December of 1948. Now, I know there's some counting. December, January, okay. Louise had to stop working as a registered nurse in the early fall.